Hey guys, okay, we are on the fly today. Super on the fly today. I was waiting, thinking we would go on a little bit later, but I just decided to go for it. I'm live at the rehearsal creative space at the San Diego Repertory Theater because I am understudying a couple of roles here in their next production. So I thought we would talk about the acting process since we are here today. So I'm on my cell, which means a little bit more haphazard, and I can only see you if you make a comment. Hi, Elaine. That's how I know if you're here. So I thought I would give you a little behind the scenes look at our rehearsal. They were about to break for dinner. Rehearsal was about to break for dinner. And so, hey, Doug, yay, make sure you share. I'm on the right place, right on the page. I think I am. We're about to break for dinner, so it might get a little bit hectic behind me. And, they don't actually, it's only our second day. So not a lot of people know I even do this yet. So, if we get interrupted, we'll just roll with it because that's how we roll here. You can see the trolley going by. You got to love San Diego. So that's the out parking lot. So I am going to do a little bit of a behind the scenes. Actually, just bear with me here as we give you, I'm going to turn the camera around. Don't need to be looking at me. Hi, Mushi. Hey, Peggy. Screenwriters. So this is the scene shop. It's where the magic happens. Well, it's where they build things. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in here because honestly, it's only my second day, so I'm not exactly sure where I'm allowed to go and not go. So I want to make sure that I stay within the rules. But so this is where they build all the set pieces. There's a couple of set pieces, samples of what they're going to do for this particular play. The play is Sweat. It is a Pulitzer Prize winning play about the in the year 2000 to 2008, what happens when factories start closing. So this is just a rehearsal room, la la la. And then right now, there's a rehearsal taking place that I'm not part of. If you go down that hallway, and I don't know if you can see, there's some doors down there right before the stairs. That's where there's another much bigger space where they're rehearsing right now. So they're about to break for dinner, so if we get interrupted, that's why. But I think what we'll do is I'll just make you dizzy, being that person that I complain about that drags the chair. Because I want to show you. Okay, I'm carrying nothing like being on the fly, carrying a chair. Okay, so I'm going to turn back around again. Hello again, here I am. So yes, it's a Pulitzer Prize winning play, basically about what happens when NAFTA becomes a thing and so many factories in Pennsylvania start shutting down and these people lose their jobs and kind of what happens with that. I'm actually understudying, which I'm super excited about. I've worked at this theater before, but it's been a really long time, so it's really fun to be back. And it's great. I'm understudying two roles, which I've done before as a dancer, but not as an actor. So that's a really interesting thing because I'm learning two pretty significant, one really significant, and the other one is there's only three women in the play. So I'm understanding two out of the three women. So I'm going to kind of show you what a prompt book is and just take you, and I'll probably do a few of these along the way so you can see the difference from when we're first starting. So like I said, our first rehearsal was yesterday. It is equity, which means it's a union professional show. San Diego Repertory Theater is phenomenal. Sam Woodhouse is the artistic director. He is also directing this play, and he's just the greatest, brilliant. He's brilliant as a director and just a nice, super great guy too. 60% understudy. Exactly. Thanks for doing the math, Anson. Appreciate that. So it's awesome because it's been a while since I've worked here, so I can be part of the process without kind of the pressure, even though it is super high pressure, because once the show opens, then I rehearse and kind of, they get to rehearse a bit. And then also, I check in half an hour at every night, and then it's like, yes, now. So there's a lot of pressure to it, but it's also now in this phase, I can kind of be a fly on the wall. And it's not quite as much pressure. So it's a beautiful play. It's a big time drama. And it's, we're just starting the process. In an equity union house like this, rather than, kind of when you do even community theater or a lot of theater rehearsals like 7 to 10 for weeks and weeks and weeks in the evening, when it's equity like this, basically it's a 9 to 5, 12 to 9 every day for a couple of weeks. So it opens April 24th. So it's actually repertory theater, I believe. Hi, Betsy. Nice to see you. So Sorry about the shaky camera there. So you basically rehearse. It's kind of like a 9 to 5 job. You rehearse 12:15 to 9:15. They're very diligent about when the breaks are and that kind of thing because it is union. So, and then you just dive in really deep. So one of the things, there's 3 things. Dear my Lord, because you know I had to do that. There's 3 things I want to cover with gatekeepers about this process. As a reader and as a writer, plays are a really good place to kind of get your sea legs. They're a really good place to learn how to develop characters. If you think as a writer that you can just write characters, it's really, really important that you write rich characters, right? We hear producers talk a lot about an actor script. An actor scripter is basically a script that an actor wants to play the role. So it's probably going to get noisy because I'm going to break for dinner, but just so you know. So when you write an actor script, hi Toy, it is exciting, isn't it? I think so. So when you write an actor script, it helps get that script made. So as a writer, you really do want to write these rich characters. And so as a reader, also when you're helping writers, I'm going to give you a few things that you can say I'm going to show you a prompt book. And this kind of depth when you see a script that's lacking depth, it gives you a way that you can help a writer develop those characters. And that's what's going to make their script sell. That's going to make the difference. Sometimes it's not even, as a reader, you should be able to spot it. But a lot of people might not even know what that means. They might not even get it. But as a reader, you should be able to spot it. And so I'm going to show you this. So I'm going to turn my camera around again. So, okay, hang on. So don't mind me. Okay, so this is my prompt book. Not everybody does it this way. Some people just use a big notebook. But I like to kind of says lost in the thrill of it all, right? I like to find, something inspiring because that's me, how I roll. So I'm just going to kind of show you. Okay, so because I'm understudying 2 roles, I'm schizophrenic. Yellow is one of them and pink is the other one. So see how I'm just getting started. So I'm just, filling out the thing. So we actually teach this. In our screen reader course, we have a whole section on being an actor, and we cover all of this. This is called a prompt book. So up here you have units. Down here you have what happens in each unit. So then we've only done the first, let me show you, first. So here's an example. So all of this over here, this is the subtext. This is what my character is thinking. So this is what she says. This is what is going on in her head. And then, so see how there's a line here? That's because she interrupts him. So anytime she interrupts him, I add that in. Also, these characters have accents. So if you look really close, this is to remind me that you don't pronounce an O in a accent in Pennsylvania in the same way. It's more like no. There's like a little E kind of in there. And so it's to remind me of the accent. It's to remind me to drop my G's at the end of sentences. So you go through and you pick that up. So and then every time something shifts with your character where they might want something new, you change it into a new thing. So also, as part of this, is a whole character analysis. Now, because I'm playing 2 characters, so see up here, Unit 1, Tracy, Unit 1, Jesse. Now, Tracy's unit changes right here, but Jesse's next unit doesn't change till much later. One, because Jesse's super drunk. So her units are really slow because she's passed out for most of the first scene. So as I go through, and I haven't done it yet, but what I do is in each unit, you write down what does your character want. You answer these questions in here. So you answer what your lines are, what your subtext is. You answer what your character lines are, meaning what does someone say about you that gives you an indication of who you are. You answer what are the themes of the play. You put your blocking on the left hand, which we haven't started blocking yet. We've only been doing around the table reads. You complete your motivational units and objectives. What does your character want? What is motivating you? And then you ask yourself questions about each of those. Why do you want those things? Why is this your last chance? What are the obstacles from preventing you from that? What is the mood of the scene? What is the tempo of the scene? And I'm talking about, we break down some of these units are only 4 or 5 pages, right? 4 or 5 lines. They can be really short. This is the kind of work that an actor puts in, and I'm just getting started. That does not count. Right, so you don't, some that's a really good question, Sheree. Some writers do write in the accent. Some don't. This one didn't. So we went through the first hour and we just talked about the accent. We actually have someone who grew up in that particular area who's in the cast, and she was helping everybody kind of teaching them how to do this accent. And so I was taking notes from her and changing my script for that. Sometimes it absolutely is written, and you can write an accent in. You need to be careful if you do that you don't make it a cliche. And that was a big conversation that we had today about making the accent, but not making it so that it's completely cliche. Then the other thing that we have is then in the back, we will do a character analysis where we answer all kinds of questions about the character that we're playing. I'm going to put it back here. See? So these are all the questions that we're asking about the character. Now, these are questions that you should, as a writer, be creating when you're writing your own characters. You should know, for instance, what is the kind of t-shirt? Hey, what is the kind of t-shirt that your character wears, right? So, someone who wears a heavy metal t-shirt is going to be a little bit different than someone who wears a Hannah Montana t-shirt, right? So these are really interesting questions. And as a reader, they're questions that when you see a script and you get a script that comes across your desk and it's shallow, these are kind of the suggestions that you can make. You can come at it from an actor's perspective and say, maybe this character walks in wearing a Hannah Montana t-shirt, maybe, or whatever it might be. But it's a way that you can really inform and inspire a writer to go a different way. The other thing, so that's one thing I wanted to talk about, another than three, my lord. So another thing is a dramaturg. So a dramaturg is in a theater company, and the job changes a bit from company to company. This company, there's two, which is amazing just to begin with. This is a role that's very similar to the reader role in the film industry. They don't, in the kind of the difference is, well, there's a lot of differences too, but in the film industry, a reader is very much involved with whether or not they do the project. That's not really the role of the dramaturg in a professional theater. Now, we have a dramaturg with a theater company that I work with where we have no money, super low budget. So in that case, yes, all the plays are being filtered through the dramaturg and they're figuring out whether or not we should read them. So that is very much just like a reader, right? Here, the dramaturg's job, and there's two of them in this show. So we sit around a table and we talk about, all of the things about this play. And they're the ones, they're basically research and development, where they're the ones when someone says, well, maybe they looked it up on YouTube and they said, no, YouTube wasn't around at that, during the time of this play. They know all the details. They find videos and they find articles and they find things for the accent and they do the research and development for the actors and they give the actors, all of the materials that they need in order to form these characters. And it's a really cool, super nerdy, super great thing that it's an incredible resource and it's a real luxury. And a lot of the shows that I do, yes, and there's many jokes about dramaturgs. Yes, slip of the tongue. And then it also it can be a thankless job or a crappy job. Oh, get it? So, yes, that's the dramaturg. So I wanted to talk about those two things in relation to your job as a reader. So if you love the theater, this is a potential job that you can also get with the skills that you learn as being a reader. Totally right. And so that's basically, I wanted to talk about, character development, about the role of the dramaturg. And then, what was the third thing, Doug? No, I can't remember. Hang on. I can't get to it. Can I get to it? I can't get to it. There we go. No, I can't. Love live things. So it's because I talked about two things at once. So I wanted to talk to you about basically the prompt book. What is a prompt book? So prompt book, that's what this is. It's called a prompt, Prompt, prompt book, because it's prompting you to the next thing. That's where it's your actor's Bible basically, and it keeps all of the information of everything that you're doing is in your prompt book. And so I'm showing you this now. Wait till you see it at the end. It will be so dog-eared and it's just a total wreck. So I'm going to continue, we won't do this every week, this topic, but I will kind of continue to kind of give you an update as to where we're going with each thing. And the other kind of cool thing about as being an understudy, I don't necessarily have to be at all of the rehearsals. And next week, Doug and I are actually going to a conference in Phoenix. So we'll be in a whole different world next week. But then I come back again. And then when we move into the stage, I'll probably be doing it down from the theater in San Diego. So super cool, right? We're having a really good time. And I thought it was a really good opportunity for us to talk about the acting process so that you as readers can really, kind of understand the whole process. Yes, you do. You say, because, you're working 12 12 to 9. So yeah. So they show you housing, and depending on kind of negotiating your contract, I'm from San Diego, so I don't really need housing, but some people do. So that's part of your negotiation as an actor. So it's super cool. This is a small cast, relatively. Well, it depends on how you look at it. It's like 8 people, I think, 5 men and 3 women. And it's, if you get a chance to read the play Sweat, it's a Pulitzer Prize-winning play. I highly recommend it. Then you'd have a little bit more insight as to what this is all about. So the 3 things I want to talk about is kind of the role of the dramaturg, and that is something that you can look into if you do want to be involved in theater, because like I said, it is a very similar job to the reader in Hollywood. And it's something, there's regional theaters everywhere, and it's also there's dramaturgs on the college level too. Usually you have one that helps with that, because there's just you have more resources on those kind of theaters. But they're usually used, like I said, in professional theater. They're used in a much bigger way, and we spend a lot of time just sitting around the table, reading through a scene, and then talking about, all of the things. So the prompt book, the dramaturg, and then the third thing, and that reading around the table kind of brings me to that, is, so we sit around the table, right, and the actors read one scene, and then we talk for over an hour, maybe sometimes longer, depending on how complicated the scene is. And we start and stop, and say, why do you think they said that? And what do you think is the history behind this? And actors come down to, so like I said, Sam Woodhouse is a brilliant director. And one of the things that happened today is, so one of the characters calls another character. She's drunk, and she says, the person I'm understudying, she calls the bartender a warlock. Really funny line, right? She's drunk, you warlock, with some expletives in there. But he said, maybe that's a discovery. Okay, so a discovery line is when the character discovers something in that moment. So a lot of times, discovery lines are things like, what happened? Those kind of lines, the character is learning something. It's a discovery line. But they can also be a line where she suddenly has a moment in her drunken haze where she looks at this bartender and he reminds her of a warlock for some reason. Or these particular characters have known each other for decades. Maybe they went to high school together. Maybe he played Merlin in the high school production of, Camelot. Like, who knows where that came up with, but that's the depth that actors go to. They will inform every single word with something. So it can be that, whenever an actor mentions a character who's off stage, they create an entire history of who that character was, and I've created this history, I'm doing my own. It can be different. I have my own, and we have this whole scene where they talk about this guy who burned his house down. We never meet this guy. It's just a few lines about him, but I created this whole backstory that I knew this person in high school and what I thought about him and what I thought about his wife, and like this whole thing, because it just makes it so that when you go to perform that scene, it has all this depth to it. So as a writer, you might call a character a name and then think about that. Now your actor's going to take that and they're going to put all this stuff on it. So as a writer, come up with interesting names. Like Warlock. This is why this woman's a Pulitzer Prize winning playwright, because she comes up with things like that. She actually has dashes, little diagonal lines. I'll show you an example where she has characters cutting each other off, and she has it very specifically. I don't know if I can find it quick enough, but it doesn't matter. But so she's got these little slashes, and what that means is that that's where the next character starts speaking. So she's actually orchestrating people talking over each other. So absolutely, Anson, it's total authentic. It's very authentic. Authenticity. There we go. I can speak. I'm an actor. But yeah, that's what makes it real. And those are the things to consider about what an actor is going to do with your words. And so when you're reading a script and they're calling someone a name and they call them, some, hey, idiot, or, that could have a bunch of different meanings or whatever. But sometimes people just kind of randomly say things. No, put some depth to it. Give that actor something. An actor sees a line where, she calls him a warlock. It's such a great example because it's such a unique name to call someone. It actually it could mean so many different things. And she could have called him all kinds of things. And a lot of kind of more common things that people call each other. But she chose that one. And that's what makes a play rich. That's what makes a screenplay rich. That's what makes your writing rich. So we thought we'd use this to inspire you to write better things and inspire you as readers to be able to go back to a writer and guide them in that direction. So if you get a screenplay it's just not ringing true, tell them to take an acting class. I mean, seriously, taking an acting class will make you a much better writer and a really good reader. So highly recommend that. Just wanted to share that with you today. There's no handouts or anything because we're kind of on the road, but wanted to give you that insight. Hope it's helpful. I hope it kind of inspires you because there is so much depth to writing, and there's so much depth to the kind of reader that you can be, and that's what will keep you employed, and that's what will make producers want to work with you. All right, guys. So we will be back in our same bat station next Wednesday. And then I'll be back here the following Wednesday. So good to see you guys. Good to kind of talk, share this with you. I'm having a super fun time. So I'm going to turn the camera back around. It looks like they have broken for dinner. We didn't get interrupted. I'm kind of amazed. And I'm going to kind of show you a little bit for those of you that missed the beginning. So this is a rehearsal room here. And then this is the scene shop where the magic happens and they build all kinds of cool stuff. I just love it. I love the smell. I love, my father was my high school drama teacher. He was also the artistic director of San Diego Junior Theater, and he also was a director at San Diego Civic Light Opera. So I started doing theater when I was really, really little, and so like 7. So I've been working in a long time, and so just the whole thing is just my whole childhood. So yeah, it's very exciting. So sweat, there it is. Rehearsal in progress. Let's peek in here. So good, no one's in here. So this is where I auditioned, and then this is the table that we were reading it all around. Super cool, right? This is a beautiful room, and it just has the kind of, these are like little details. They've marked off with tape, what the stage is going to be like, so we know where things are once we move the tables away and they start blocking. They mark everything off with tape. We'll be down here for a couple of weeks, and then we'll move into the theater. Hopefully it will all move in smoothly. As you can see, it's a big room. Yesterday, at the first rehearsal and this is the other beautiful thing about this level, is that we had, probably 100 people in a big, huge circle of chairs. I'll post a picture of it. I took a picture of all the designers and the sound and costume, and each person got up and got to share their vision of what they think it should be and their ideas of all the things that we should be, considering, and all the things about the time period. It's set in 2000 and 2008, jumps around a lot, all the things about what would we be wearing, what would we be drinking, what would we be saying. They built this, they took it, they built a cigarette machine that's pretty cool, because it's set primarily in a bar, so they're already starting to build things. It's just, and you'll get to see it as we go. I'll continue to just kind of keep you posted. All right, so I'm going to turn back around and say goodbye. So that's it for this week, and we will see you next week, and we will keep you posted. Totally. Smell of the crowd, the roar of the grease paint, super fun. So yes, go out there, do as much theater as possible. We are having a great time. Yeah, it really does help. Yep, that's great. Wait, who was that? Yeah, Cindy, absolutely. It really does. Keep taking acting. You've been taking for almost a year. It really does help. It helps your writing. It helps, and it's fun, right? And if you do take acting, you'll be much better in a room too, because boy, the acting skills, like right, even in this moment, the acting skills as you're doing anything, any kind of interviewing, they just come in so handy. So thanks, you guys. We will see you next week. Super fun. Talk to you soon.